So the analogy that I think of, imperfect, is the expression about shooting fish in a barrel. And YouTube is the barrel, and the content creators are the fish. And so it's a place where this content is centralized, and essentially it's easy for us to find.
If you're a YouTube content creator, this is probably going to be the most important video you watch this year. My name is Nate Broady, lawyer turned YouTuber. And welcome to the Brody's Bunch, where we discuss interesting legal topics in the news. So what's going on? Federal agents are going to be conducting sweeps of the YouTube platform.
The Commission will conduct a sweep of the YouTube platform to determine whether child-directed content is being properly designated as such.
We intend to conduct a sweep of the YouTube platform to determine whether there remains child-directed content on the platform.
The federal agents who are conducting sweeps of the YouTube platform are going to be looking for content creators who are violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. Content creators who are found in violation can be fined.
So what we typically do is we look at the revenue that was earned from the violative conduct, and we apply a multiplier to that revenue based on the circumstances of the individual case in front of us. That's what we did in Musical.ly. That's what we've done in all of our other Coppa cases as well, at least the ones on my watch. So we have, I think that we have something of a rubric for assessing civil penalties and individual liability under Coppa, and I believe that we have applied that rubric equally to small and to large companies.
Now, this has the possibility of affecting all channels on YouTube. This means gaming channels that play children's games. This means movie review channels that review children's movies, channels that unbox toys, and even those family vlog channels that are getting very popular on YouTube nowadays. On September 4, 2019, the Federal Trade Commission of the United States government announced that YouTube had agreed to pay a $170 million fine for violating the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, also known as Coppa. So what is Coppa? This law was intended to protect children's privacy here online. This is the way it works. This law prohibits data collection on content that is directed at children under the age of 13. This means things like cookies, tracking data, and data used for targeted advertising. Now, for those of you who don't know what targeted advertising is, those are ads based on a consumer's behavior, such as what they watch, what they buy, what they search for online. Now, if you want to have targeted ads, you have to collect that type of data. Now, if you're collecting that type of data on content that is directed at children at the age of 13, then you're violating Coppa. Now, in the case of YouTube, the government was able to show that YouTube not only knew that they had child-directed content on their platform directed at children under the age of 13, they were also able to show that YouTube was collecting data on that content, therefore violating Coppa. That's why they settled for $170 million. The government is now coming after content creators. See, starting in January of 2020, YouTube is going to ask content creators to certify whether the video that they upload is directed at children or not. Now, if a content creator says yes, that their videos are directed at children under the age of 13, that video or content will essentially be demonetized. That is going to have a huge effect on how much money that content can make on a platform like YouTube. Now, the simple fact is YouTube can't run targeted ads on child-directed content because to do that, they would need to collect data on that content. And now, since targeted ads are more valuable to advertisers, the channels who have child-directed content, or if you say yes to the question, is this video or is this content child-directed? Most estimates now say that starting in 2020, those channels are going to lose about 85% of their revenue through advertising.
When we work with brands and businesses, we do a lot of ad buying, and I can tell you the more expensive ads, which would actually bring up your CPMs, are the ones when they actually get targeted results. So for content for kids, we have to take off that targeted results. Advertisers are not able to do that, and then the low cost ads are going to hit. So you will make some money, but I can tell you it's going to be about 85% less than what you're making now.
Now, that's a huge hit to some channels. Think about it. 85% of your ad revenue possibly be lost. Well, what about the other side of the coin? What about a content creator who says no, that their content or their video, for instance, they're uploading, isn't child-directed. Now, if you say no, that your content is not child-directed, when the federal government conducted sweeps of the platform, if they determine that your content is actually child-directed, they're going to sue you in court and likely fine you up to $42,000 per violation.
And so I think that we would have strong penalties in future cases against content creators and channel owners as well, particularly when we would have a situation where the channel owner was specifically asked, "Are you child-directed?" and the channel owner said no. So when we see those facts, we're going to have to evaluate them. Every case is different. We'll have to evaluate the facts that we are given, and we'll have to evaluate them in context. But if I'm a channel owner, those facts don't look so good for me, I think.
So you have two choices: lose 85% of your ad revenue, or be hauled into court by the government if they find that you've misled YouTube. So what is child-directed content? Well, I actually had to look this up. I looked up the rule, and then I went to the FTC's website, and they have 7 factors they use to assess whether the content or material is child-directed or not.
Is the way that we generally enforce Coppa is by actually reviewing content to determine if it's directed to children. We have a variety of factors in our rule that we consider when determining whether or not content is directed to children. And so that's the way we do business. It has been successful so far. I think that I have no doubt that it will be similarly successful with respect to YouTube, despite the large quantity of information on the platform.
Number 1, the subject matter of the site or service. Number 2, the visual and audio content. Number 3, the use of animated characters or other child-oriented activities or incentives. Number 4, the age of the models, actors, or characters. Number 5, the presence of child celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children. Number 6, ads on the site or service that are directed at children. And number 7, any other reliable evidence about the age of the actual or intended audience. The link to these factors are in the description. Now, these factors aren't an exhaustive list. They are just the baseline of what the government is going to be using to conduct its sweep of the YouTube platform, starting in January. Now, you guys got to think about who this is going to affect.
Right, like if you have a young kid playing Roblox or Minecraft, okay, that seems kids directed. But then let's say, what if it's a father and son playing together? Is that kids directed content, or because you have an adult, maybe it could be said that it's targeting the parents of children? Right, also, to focus on the gaming community somewhat here, does the game itself matter? For example, recently Minecraft, there's been this resurgence in large part thanks to people like PewDiePie bringing it back. Right, and Minecraft does have a very young audience, although I know more adults than ever that are playing it.
Gaming channels, for instance. If you're a gaming channel and you're reviewing something like Lego's Dimension or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that could possibly be seen as child-directed content. If you're a movie review channel and you are reviewing Finding Dory and you're interviewing kids, that could be considered child-directed content.
Shrek 2 is actually good. DreamWorks might be looking at its second big franchise next to Shrek, while Disney Pixar's only got the one.
What movie did you just see?
Madagascar Part 2.
How was it?
Good.
How'd you like it?
It was awesome.
It was funny and entertaining.
Who's your favorite character?
I'll have to say the zebra.
The penguins.
Unboxing an action figure that's for children could be considered child-directed content based on these factors. And family channels, Ryan's Toys, the Royalty Family, they could be considered child-directed content. Now, this is making a lot of content creators nervous on YouTube. See, the simple fact is if you're a content creator, the law is going to hold you strictly liable for violations of Coppa. Now, what this means is that the government doesn't have to prove that you intended to violate the law. The fact that you uploaded a video that was directed at children and certified that it wasn't child-directed content is enough to hold you liable for the violation. Another example would be something like statutory rape, where you don't have to prove the person intended to sleep with someone under the age of consent. The fact that they did it is enough. Strict liability in this context is going to mean content creators are legally responsible for the consequences of uploading child-directed content to the YouTube platform. So I would suggest that content creators err on the side of caution. Until this whole thing gets flushed out, specifically about what exactly is child-directed content and what exactly is not child-directed content, because it seems like it's on a spectrum. Hold up. Before we even go on a little bit further, this is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, speak to a licensed professional in your area. Now, my advice for you as content creators, so you don't get caught up in this, because don't forget, this is starting in January. You have a little time to adjust, but err on the side of caution. If you're asked, is this video directed at children? I suggest you look at those factors, then label it appropriately. I don't think you want to be in a position where you're arguing in court whether this was child-directed content or not, where the government's saying it obviously is and you're saying it's not. So what do you think? Do you think it's fair that the government's going to be conducting these sweeps?
The commission will conduct a sweep.
We intend to conduct a sweep.
Do you think it's fair that the government is going to be looking to go after the content creators, the fish in the barrel? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Hey, my name is Nate, lawyer, YouTuber, and I just hooked you up.